Lyle and Erik Menéndez. Joseph Lyle Menéndez, born January 10, 1968, and Erik Galen Menéndez, born November 27, 1970, collectively referred to as the Menéndez brothers, are American brothers who were convicted in 1996 of the murders of their parents, Jose and Mary Louise Kitty Menéndez. During their trial, the brothers stated that they committed the murders out of fear that their father would kill them after they threatened to expose him for years of sexual, emotional, and physical abuse, while the prosecution argued that they did it to inherit their father's multi-million-dollar estate. They were first tried separately with one jury for each brother. However, both juries deadlocked, resulting in a mistrial. For the second trial, they were tried together by a single jury that found them guilty after the judge excluded the evidence of abuse from the defense. Both brothers were sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Background: Jose Enrique Menéndez was born on May 6, 1944, in Havana, Cuba. At age 16, shortly after the end of the Cuban Revolution, he moved to the United States. Jose attended Southern Illinois University, where he met Mary Louise Kitty Anderson, 1941 to 1989. They were married in 1963 and moved to New York City, where Jose earned an accounting degree from Queens College. The couple's first son, Joseph Lyle, who goes by his middle name, was born on January 10, 1968, in New York. Kitty quit her teaching job after Lyle was born and the family moved to New Jersey, where Erik Galen was born on November 27, 1970, in Gloucester Township. The family lived in Hopewell Township and both brothers attended Princeton Day School. In the summer of 1976, Lyle and Erik's cousin, Diane Vander Molen, came to stay with them. She later stated Lyle confessed to her that his father was sexually abusing him. Vander Molen claimed to have told Kitty what Lyle had said, but also claimed Kitty sided with her husband and said Lyle was lying. Vander Molen recalls that afterward, Kitty put Lyle upstairs and that was the last Vander Molen heard of the claim. The brothers have claimed the abuse stopped when Lyle was 8 and Erik was 6. Kitty's eldest sister Joan Vander Molen also backed the sexual abuse allegations in a 2017 interview with People. However, Kitty's brother Milton Anderson has described the allegations as bull. In 1986, Jose's career took the family to Beverly Hills, California when he got a job with International Video Entertainment. The following year, Erik attended Beverly Hills High School where he earned average grades but displayed a remarkable talent for tennis, ranking 44th in the U.S. as a junior. About 2 weeks before the murders, Erik and his friend Michael Joyce entered the 1989 Boys Junior National Tennis Championship. Erik reached the second round of qualifying in the boys' 18 singles, while Joyce reached the quarterfinals. Lyle attended Princeton University, but was placed on academic probation for poor grades and was eventually suspended for plagiarism. Crimes. On the evening of August 20, 1989, Jose and Kitty were sleeping in the den of their Beverly Hills mansion when Lyle and Erik entered the den, carrying shotguns. Jose was shot 6 times, including a fatal shot in the back of the head with a Mossberg 12-gauge shotgun. Kitty was shot 10 times in total. Before the fatal shot to her cheek, she was on the ground, slowly crawling and crying. Lyle ran to his car to reload before firing the fatal shot to her face. Immediately after the killings, both brothers remained in the house expecting the police to respond due to the noise of the gunshots. When the police arrived, the brothers told them that the killings had occurred while they were at a movie theater watching Batman and attending the Taste of LA festival at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. The police did not seek gunshot residue tests from the brothers, which would have indicated whether they had recently discharged a firearm. In the months after the killings, the brothers began to spend lavishly on luxury items, businesses, and travel. Lyle bought Chuck's Spring Street Cafe, a Buffalo Wing restaurant in Princeton, New Jersey, as well as a Rolex watch and a Porsche Carrera. Erik hired a full-time tennis coach and competed in a series of tournaments in Israel. The brothers eventually left the Beverly Hills mansion unoccupied, choosing to live in adjoining condominiums in nearby Marina del Rey. They also dined expensively and took overseas trips to the Caribbean and London. Collectively, they spent approximately $700,000 before their arrests. Family members later disputed a connection between their spending and the murder of their parents, claiming that there were no changes in their spending habits after the killings. At one point, they attended a New York Knicks basketball game which became immortalized when they appeared courtside in the background of a Mark Jackson trading card. During the early stages of the investigation, police tried to narrow their search to suspects who had motives to kill Jose and Kitty and also investigated potential mob leads. As the investigation continued, they began to suspect the brothers were the most likely perpetrators due to the obvious financial motive and their exorbitant spending after the killings. In an attempt to get a confession from Erik, police arranged for his friend, Craig Signorelli, to wear a wire during a lunch with Erik at a local beachfront restaurant. When Signorelli asked Erik whether he had killed his parents, Erik denied it. Erik eventually confessed to his psychologist, Jerome Oziel, who then told his mistress, Judalon Smith. Oziel later broke up with Smith and in a fit of rage she told the police about the brothers' involvement. Lyle was arrested on March 8, 1990, and Erik turned himself in 3 days later after returning to Los Angeles from Israel. Both were held without bail and jailed separately. In August 1990, Judge James Albrecht ruled that tapes of the conversations between Erik and Oziel were admissible evidence since Oziel stated that Lyle threatened him and violated doctor-patient privilege. Albrecht's ruling was appealed, after which the proceedings were delayed for 2 years. The Supreme Court of California ruled in August 1992 that most of the tapes were admissible, with the exception of the tape on which Erik discussed the murders. After that decision, a Los Angeles County grand jury issued indictments in December 1992, charging the brothers with the murders of their parents. Trials. The Menéndez case became a national sensation when Court TV broadcast the trial in 1993. Represented by their defense lawyer, Leslie Abramson, the brothers stated that they killed their parents out of fear for their lives after a lifetime of abuse at the hands of their parents, especially sexual abuse at the hands of their father, who was described as a cruel perfectionist and pedophile. Meanwhile, their mother was described as an enabling, selfish, mentally unstable alcoholic and drug addict who encouraged her husband's behavior and was also violent toward the brothers. The allegations against the couple were supported by the testimony of 2 family members. The brothers' cousin, Andy Cano, said that as a child Erik told him about the sexual abuse, which they both described as penis massages. Diane van der Molen, another cousin of the brothers, stated that she once told Kitty about Jose's molestation of Lyle, although Kitty told her that it was false. As physical evidence, the defense presented a photograph of Lyle and Erik's genitalia allegedly taken by their father when they were children. The prosecution argued that the killings were done for financial gain. This theory was disputed by the defense team, which claimed that the brothers did not think they were getting an inheritance. Lyle's prosecutor, Pam Bozanich, argued that men could not be raped because they lacked the necessary equipment to be raped. Erik testified that a couple of weeks before the night of the killings, he told his brother about the sexual abuse he was experiencing, which led to several confrontations within the family. The brothers also testified that their father threatened to kill them if they did not keep the abuse secret. They claimed the last confrontation happened inside their home's den on August 20, 1989, a few minutes before Kitty and Jose were killed. The brothers stated that their father closed the den's door, which was unusual. Paranoid and afraid that they would be killed by their own parents, Lyle and Erik went outside to load their shotguns. Erik stated, "As I went into the room, I just started firing." The trial ended with 2 deadlocked juries. As a result, Los Angeles County District Attorney Gil Garcetti immediately announced that the brothers would be retried. The second trial was somewhat less publicized, in part because Judge Stanley Weisberg did not allow cameras in the courtroom. During the second trial, Weisberg, relying upon a legal decision by the Supreme Court in an unrelated case, limited testimony about the sexual abuse claims and did not allow the jury to vote on manslaughter charges instead of murder charges. Both brothers were eventually convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to murder. In the penalty phase of the trial, they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The jury noted the abuse defense was not a factor in its deliberations, but it decided not to impose the death penalty because both brothers had no prior criminal record or history of violence. However, unlike the juries in the previous trials, the jury in the penalty phase rejected the defense's theory that the brothers killed their parents out of fear and believed that they committed the killings in order to inherit their father's wealth. During the penalty phase, Abramson apparently told defense witness William Vickery to edit his own notes of meetings with Erik to remove potentially damning information, but the district attorney's office decided not to launch a criminal investigation of Abramson. Both brothers also filed motions for a mistrial, claiming that they suffered irreversible damage in the penalty phase as a result of possible misconduct and ineffective representation by Abramson. On July 2, 1996, Weisberg sentenced the brothers to life in prison without the possibility of parole to be served as consecutive sentences for the killings and the charges of conspiracy to commit murder. Incarceration. As in their pretrial detention, the California Department of Corrections separated the brothers and sent them to different prisons. Since they were considered to be maximum security inmates, they were segregated from other prisoners. They remained in separate prisons until February 2018, when Lyle was moved from Mule Creek State Prison to the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility, where they were housed in separate units. Erik also spent some time at Folsom State Prison in Folsom, California and Pleasant Valley State Prison in Curlinger, California. On April 4, 2018, Lyle was moved into the same housing unit as Erik, reuniting them for the first time since they began serving their sentences nearly 22 years earlier. The brothers burst into tears and hugged each other during their first meeting in the housing unit. The unit where they are housed is reserved for inmates who agree to participate in education and rehabilitation programs without creating disruptions. Appeals. On February 27, 1998, the California Court of Appeal upheld the brothers' murder convictions, and on May 28, 1998, the Supreme Court of California declined to review the case, thus allowing the decision of the appellate court to stand. Both brothers filed habeas corpus petitions with the Supreme Court of California, which were denied in 1999. Having exhausted their appeal remedies in state court, they filed separate habeas corpus petitions in the United States District Court. On March 4, 2003, a magistrate judge recommended the denial of the petitions, and the district court adopted the recommendation. The brothers then decided to appeal to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. On September 7, 2005, a 3-judge panel denied both their habeas corpus petitions, although Judge Alex Kozinski noted that the trial judge changed many of his rulings during the 2 trials. In May 2023, the brothers requested a new hearing by filing documents which are based on newly discovered evidence which allegedly proves that their father had also molested boy band member Roy Rossello. Specifically, on April 18, 2023, on a segment of the Today Show about an upcoming docuseries, Rossello stated that when he was 14 years old, he was drugged and raped by Jose Menéndez while he was visiting the Menéndez's home in New Jersey. Marriages and interviews in prison. On July 2, 1996, Lyle married Anna Erickson at a ceremony attended by Abramson and his aunt Marta Menéndez, officiated by Judge Nancy Brown. They divorced on April 1, 2001, after Erickson discovered that Lyle was allegedly cheating on her with another woman. In November 2003, Lyle married Rebecca Sneed at a ceremony in a visiting area of Mule Creek State Prison. They had known each other for around 10 years before their engagement. On June 12, 1999, Erik married Tammy Ruth Saccoman at Folsom State Prison in a prison waiting room. Tammy later stated, "Our wedding cake was a Twinkie. We improvised. It was a wonderful ceremony until I had to leave. That was a very lonely night." In an October 2005 interview with ABC News, She described her relationship with Erik as something that I've dreamed about for a long time. And it's just something very special that I never thought that I would ever have. In 2005, Saccoman self-published a book, They Said We'd Never Make It, My Life with Erik Menéndez, but she said on CNN's Larry King Live that Erik also did a lot of editing on the book. In an interview with People magazine, she stated, "Not having sex in my life is difficult, but it's not a problem for me. I have to be emotionally attached, and I'm emotionally attached to Erik. My family does not understand. When it started to get serious, some of them just threw up their hands." Saccoman also stated that she and her daughter drove 150 miles, 240 kilometers, every weekend to visit Erik, and that her daughter refers to him as her Earth Dad. Discussing his life sentence, Erik stated, "Tammy is what gets me through. I can't think about the sentence. When I do it with a great sadness and a primal fear. I break into a cold sweat. It's so frightening I just haven't come to terms with it." In 2010, A&E released Mrs. Menéndez, a documentary about Saccoman. In popular culture, documentary. In 2000, Menéndez Brothers, Blood Brothers, an episode from the documentary series by Court TV, now True TV, Mugshots, was aired at FilmRise. In 2015, Barbara Walters Presents American Scandals featured the Menéndez brothers in an episode, Menéndez Brothers, The Bad Sons. In 2016, the Menéndez brothers were featured in the true crime documentary, Snapped. In 2017, the Menéndez brothers were featured in a documentary, Truth and Lies, The Menéndez Brothers, American Sons, American Murderers on ABC. In 2017, A&E aired a 5-part documentary titled The Menéndez Murders, Erik Tells All, in which Erik describes via telephone the murders and the aftermath. The series also shows never-before-seen photos and new interviews with prosecutors, law enforcement, close family and friends, and medical experts. In 2017, HLN launched the new series How It Really Happened, with Hill Harper, with an episode featuring the Menéndez brothers' story. The episode, The Menéndez Brothers, Murder in Beverly Hills, ends with a telephone interview of Lyle from jail with Chris Cuomo. In 2020, BuzzFeed Unsolved featured the Menéndez brothers in a 1-episode special, How They Were Caught, The Menéndez Brothers. In 2021, the Menéndez brothers were the subject of ABC's 2020 special, Inside the Menéndez Movement. The special features the popularity of the brothers on the video-sharing social media application TikTok and their growing number of supporters from young adults outside and inside of the United States. In August 2022, Discovery Plus released Menéndez Brothers, Misjudged, a 2-hour documentary focusing on the Menéndez brothers' case and trial. In May 2023, Peacock released a documentary series titled Menéndez plus Menudo, Boys Betrayed, which features Puerto Rican singer and former Menudo member Roy Rosello alleging that he was sexually assaulted as a teenager by Jose Menéndez. In 2024, the brothers were featured in the 3rd episode of Mastermind, To Think Like a Killer. Films and series. Films. In 1994, the Menéndez brothers were featured in the television film Menéndez, A Killing in Beverly Hills on CBS. Lyle was portrayed by Damian Chapa, and Erik by Travis Fine. In the 1994 film, Dumb and Dumber, a current affair episode playing on TV states, Inside the Home of the Menéndez Brothers' Attorney. In 1994, the television film Honor Thy Father and Mother, the true story of the Menéndez murders features Lyle and Erik Menéndez portrayed by Billy Warlock and David Berron, respectively. In 1994, the Menéndez brothers were loosely depicted in the crime film Natural Born Killers. In 2017, the Menéndez brothers were featured in the Lifetime television film Menéndez, Blood Brothers, 2017. Lyle was portrayed by Nico Tortorella, and Erik by Michael Olivier. Television series. In 1990, the Law and Order Season 1 episode, The Serpent's Tooth, is loosely based on the Menéndez brothers' case. In 1994, the sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air makes various comedic passing references to the Menéndez case. One such example is in Season 4, Episode 14, 1920 into the episode. In 1999, in The Sopranos Season 1 episode, Boca, Junior Soprano makes a reference to the brothers' case, citing how their psychiatrist had appeared as a witness in the trial. The Menéndez brothers' mugshots appear in the intro of the police procedural series Criminal Minds, 2005 to 2020. In 2008, Gavin Volure, a Season 3 episode of the TV series 30 Rock, features Tracy Jordan, portrayed by Tracy Morgan, making multiple references to the Menéndez brothers as he fears that his own children will similarly attempt to kill him for his wealth, an act he termed as Menéndez-ing. In 2012, Lyle Menéndez was briefly referenced in Season 6 episode Nothing Left to Lose, in which a character has a tattoo with the text Free Lyle Menéndez. In 2010, the Menéndez brothers were referenced by Bobby Singer, portrayed by Jim Beaver, in Season 6, Episode 12 of the CW series Supernatural. In 2016, the Menéndez brothers were mentioned several times in the FX drama The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, 2016. Based on the true story of O.J. Simpson's highly televised trial, the series was set at the same time as the Menéndez brothers' trials. There are several characters who have worked in the brothers and O.J. Simpson's respective cases, such as Robert Shapiro, Lance Ito, and Gil Garcetti. Shapiro, portrayed by John Travolta, mentioned Erik in Episode 2 stating, "In fact, I arranged the surrender of Erik Menéndez from Israel." This statement is based on the actual speech by Shapiro during Simpson's infamous Bronco chase, in an attempt to have him surrender to the police. In 2017, NBC aired Law and Order: True Crime, The Menéndez Murders. An 8-episode special from the Law and Order franchise, the series depicted the detailed killings, investigation, arrests, and trials of the Menéndez brothers. Compared to its predecessors, the series portrayed the brothers more sympathetically, focusing on the defense led by lawyer Leslie Abramson, and the physical and sexual abuse allegations. Lyle was portrayed by Miles Gaston Villanueva, who received a Best Actor nomination at the 33rd Imagen Awards, while Erik was portrayed by actor and singer Gus Halper. Its premiere at the Paley Center for Media was attended by Lyle's family and friends, who praised the series' depiction of the brothers. In an interview with Megyn Kelly today after the first episode premiere, Lyle revealed that the series was painful to watch, but said the depiction of him by Villanueva is surprisingly accurate, despite the producers and the actor not being able to communicate with him. The 2018 Primetime Emmy Awards nominated Edie Falco for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series for her portrayal of Abramson. In Netflix's That 90s Show, Red made a reference to the Menéndez brothers while talking to his wife Kitty. Coincidentally, Kitty was also the nickname of their mother. Monsters: The Lyle and Erik Menéndez Story, the second season of Ryan Murphy's Netflix anthology series Monster, was released on September 19, 2024. Cooper Koch and Nicholas Chavez portray Erik and Lyle, respectively, while Javier Bardem and Chloe Sevigny respectively portray Jose and Kitty. Its first teaser was released on the 35th anniversary of Jose and Kitty's deaths. The series incorporates the Rashomon effect in its portrayal of the Menéndez family, basing it on various witnesses and testimonies, leaving the killings open to interpretation and allowing the viewers to decide which version of events they believe. It received mixed reviews from critics, who praised the first half of the series, particularly the 5th episode, but criticized the second half for its inconsistent tone. However, the performances of Bardem, Sevigny, Koch, and Chavez were acclaimed by both critics and supporters alike. After the release, Erik issued a statement denouncing the series, claiming, "Ryan Murphy cannot be this naive and inaccurate about the facts of our lives so as to do this without bad intent." Parody and dark comedy. In 1993, Saturday Night Live aired a comedy sketch featuring guest host John Malkovich where the Menéndez brothers cry in an exaggerated manner, and blame the murder of their parents on their identical twin brothers. In 2015, the Menéndez brothers are referenced again in the sketch song First Got Horny to You, from a season 41 episode hosted by Elizabeth Banks. The 1994 episode of Married with Children, called The Darcy Files, features the line, "It's too late to hire the Menéndez brothers," from Al. In 1996, the media hype surrounding the first trial was parodied in the dark comedy film The Cable Guy. In 1997, Gary Indiana published his novel Resentment, a comedy, which is drawn in part from the Menéndez murders and trial. In 2009, the Venture Bros featured two former boy detectives named Lance and Dale Hale, who are strongly implied to have killed their father with a shotgun. In 2016, the Menéndez brothers were subjects of the weekly comedic true crime podcast The Last Podcast on the Left. Others. The Menéndez brothers are seen in the background of the 1990–91 NBA Hoops Mark Jackson basketball card in which the New York Knicks point guard is seen making a bounce pass. They are sitting courtside behind Jackson. In December 2018, eBay began terminating auctions in which the brothers are mentioned in the listing. The New York Knicks played 28 games during the period in which the Menéndez brothers went on a spending spree after the murders. Some eBay sellers have continued to sell the card and have also altered the images accompanying the listings so that the Menéndez brothers are neither mentioned nor seen in photos of the card accompanying the listing.